Fear is holding you back, and we need to talk about it. I know it is so hard to start something new or to pivot from a place that you're very familiar with, right? Or it's even hard to just keep putting in the work and keep putting in the effort and knowing that you're always going to get a good result. Like these things can cause fear in many people, right? Going into a new space, having a new manager, building your own business, building a new business, right? All of these different things can evoke fear within a person. But we have to learn how to quench that sabotaging thought, quench that negative thought that tells you that it's not going to work. Like that's the only reason why you have fear is because you're forecasting the outcome that hasn't even happened yet, right? You're getting anxious over an outcome that hasn't even happened yet. So I want to snap you out of that and snap you back into the reality that you can perceive correctly for yourself, the results, the outcome that you can visualize correctly for yourself so that you can actually be inspired and creative and bold within the decisions that you're making for your life, for your career. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this fear that I keep seeing coming up in so many women. So many of you know that I'm a women's small business leadership coach as well as a Christian faith counselor, right? So I see women on so many different paths, so many different walks of life. Previously, I started my career as an executive recruiter where I worked with tons of people, employing them in many different industries, right? You're talking wealth management companies, risk assessment companies, nonprofits, schools, education, academic, as well as finance, marketing. I mean, you name it, I placed them there, right? So that's how my career started. And I started there at zero. I had no experience. Prior to that, I was just graduating college and I was, doing admin work like the regular college student. And then that transitioned into me saying, what am I really good at? Right. And I just was like, I'm really good at speaking to people. I'm really good with connecting dots in regards to seeing like what their talents are and where they should be in life or the careers that they will excel best in. Like I've always been really great with that. I would do that not even as a job. I would just do that in my personal life as well, right? So I was like, let me use my personality and my natural skill sets in my favor, right? So I started as a recruiter. I quickly was promoted within, I think, less than a year. It was like 10 months I was promoted into being a senior recruiter, and I just kept growing from there, right? And I started at zeros, competing with other senior and executive recruiters until I became an executive recruiter myself, right? I was in that industry for nearly 7 years. But I had to bet on myself. I had to count on myself. And a lot of fear can go into starting within a new position. A lot of fear can go into uncharted territory. But we have to be confident in our skill sets, our competency, knowing what we bring to the table, our personality, right? Knowing what makes us the value that will take that company, that business, or that partnership to the next level, right? Knowing that we are the secret sauce, that we are the key, right? So this is the type of boldness you have to walk within life with, knowing that you inherently have value as a human, as a person, right? And then also that you dove deep into your own industry, learning and becoming an expert in certain areas that gives you that that gives you that edge. I was meeting new people all the time, right? And not only just like new candidates, new people who needed jobs, but I was meeting new businesses, right? Business owners. I was meeting new managers, directors, CEOs, CMOs, CFOs. I was meeting new people all the time, pitching to them how the company that I work with should be the company that they hire to fulfill all of their like employment needs, right? So I was doing that, and every time can be a level of fear. Every time can be, will they accept me? Will they not? Will they accept my offer? Will they not? Will they want to take on our business? Will my manager be mad if I don't land this deal? All of these things would like swarm in a person's mind, right? And that started to happen to me early on in my career until I was like, no. Let's backtrack this. Let's put things into perspective. Why am I doing all of these narratives in my mind that haven't even happened yet, right? This isn't real. The things that I was conjuring up in my mind and the things that a lot of women and a lot of people conjure up in their mind are not even things that are happening. They're things that we're forecasting to happen or possibilities that we're forecasting that might happen. And it's like, why are we sabotaging something that hasn't happened? Why are we wanting the negative outcome of something that we are putting our hard efforts into. So it works in our favor to actually think of the positive. What are the positive outcomes that can happen from this? How can I over prepare for the no's, right? Like, how can I counteract to when they say that they don't need my services or not right now? Like, how can I counteract those negatives that are coming up in my mind? And that's what you do. This is how you rid the negative thoughts in your mind. This is how you rid the anxiety that can build up within you by focusing on the outcomes that you do want instead of the ones that you don't. So just taking the example of when I was an executive recruiter, right? Taking the example of being a recruiter, I would look at things like, okay, instead of going into this meeting nervous where my voice will start to tremble and then maybe my hands might start to tremble a little bit, or maybe I might start to move paper around where I don't need to. Maybe I start saying a lot because I'm reaching for words. Instead of thinking about those negative things that can happen, how about I eliminate them so they won't happen at all? Right? How about I over prepare? So how about I do a couple of mock interviews, right? Just with myself so I can hear myself talking. How about I think of all the different ways of how they can tell me no and create answers to those no's now? No, I don't need your services. Okay, well, you said that this was an important need for you, right? So if this was an important need for you and you really need to stop having this block so that you can hit your quarterly numbers, how long do you not want to hit those quarterly numbers? How long are you going to stay at this blockage? How long are you going to allow this barricade to stay here? Because I want to be the solution that we get past that barricade now so that you can hit all the goals and supersede the goals that you're trying to attack. Like, you're never going to get there with postponing, prolonging. Take the steps now so that you don't have to suffer the consequences later. I have 3 great people on my roster that I've already worked with before. I already know that they're going to work with your culture, your company culture. I already know they're going to blow this out of the park if you just take the time to interview them. You think you have about 30 minutes on Friday to get this done? I really want to wrap this up for you. I can see you guys hitting it off and like you just going full force within everything that you need to do. Let this person take on that workload so that you can get to doing what you need to do on your end. You see what I'm saying? If you think about all the ways that you can counteract their no's, right, to turn them into yeses, didn't you say that was a pain point? Didn't you say you wanted to get rid of that? I have the answer for you. I literally have it waiting. I have this golden nugget waiting for you. Why are you prolonging your answer? What is making you hesitate? Like, these are all the ways that you can get rid of your fears because you're over preparing, right? You're making sure that you have answers for the follow-up. You're making sure you have proper questions for that person, right? You're making sure that things are flowing correctly, right? You're making sure that you're in control of the conversation, that you're allowing things to flow the way that it needs to flow, right? That you're following up, asking the right questions, giving the right answers, that you're listening, right? You're finding the pain point of that issue and you're listening on how to solve it. All of this is going to help you go after the goals that you have set for yourself. Success is what you make it. It's the input that you put in. So stop blocking yourself from taking the first step and get it done. I'm rooting for all of you. I'm rooting for each and every one of you looking at this video because I want to see you dominate within the spaces that you're called to. This is where the fulfillment comes in. This is where your purpose is shown in quantum leaps. When you start walking in the authority that you were called to. I hope this video blesses somebody. I hope these different stories that I was telling you about my own journey just cause some breakthrough to happen in your life. Maybe you picked up some examples or some things that you need to do, some behaviors you need to tweak, some ways of thinking you need to either implement or remove, eliminate. I hope you have picked up the gems and nuggets from this video that you needed in order for you to take the next step in completing the goals that you have for yourself. If you're looking for a coach within your business when it comes to branding or leadership or how to just kind of get things together operationally, I love working with small businesses, so definitely connect with me. I'll leave my coaching link here below, as well as in the caption. And you can contact me directly using that link. We can set up a free 30-minute consultation and just really start to dive in on what you are being called to, what field you feel like you should be dominating in because you have the expertise and you have the talents and gifts. And let's get it done. No more delay. There's still a couple months left in this year, and I don't want you to waste them. All right, you guys, until the next video. See you soon.